this trade-off between like super secure and very complex, is not the case anymore because Bitcoin has been moving on and a lot of new updates have come along, and that's why you can up your security without making it ever more complex, you know? So would you agree that this is actually the case?
This is the solution. We actually, what we do at 21st is the solution to this specific problem. So let's move on from doing self-custody from a single hardware wallet. Okay, so let's say I have a hardware wallet. I think I'm very secure and everything is fine. And now, if I want to go on and actually up my security, as you said, so let's say I have one of these, and I feel pretty certain that it's all good. But let's say I want to upgrade my security and I want to add another hardware wallet to it, right? So that turns from a single signature to a multi-signature, right? Now, all of a sudden, I have more than one device that can sign, okay? Sounds amazing, and it is actually. Multi-sig is amazing, but the problem is with multi-sig that the more devices you have involved, the more you need to keep track of them, and the more you have to do backups in different places. And if you create a multi-sig vault, you basically have a map, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have that map, there is no way to actually get your money back, right? So that's the second problem. The third problem is you need to ask yourself, what if I lose, let's say I have a 2 out of 3, okay? If I have 2 devices from 3 devices total, and I need at least 2 devices to sign, and let's say I give 1 key to my sibling, and I have 1 key at home, and another key is with a company that I trust, right? What if that company goes bust and my brother isn't there anymore for whatever reason, or he lost the key, right? So you end up with only 1 device, and that could be it, because 1 device cannot sign alone anymore. You need 2 devices. So traditional multi-sig requires still that you have at least 2 devices, and if you lose both devices, it's game over, right? So this is the problem with multi-sig. As you said it beautifully. Number 1, complexity. You need to keep track of so many devices. Number 2, you need to actually know what you did. And if something happens to you, your kids need to know what you did. And if they have 1 device and they don't know what you did, they cannot find your multi-sig. They cannot sign on it if they don't know what you did, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's the problem with multi-sig. So it solves actually a problem which we call the single point of failure problem. So you don't have a single point that actually can fail. It also solves the $5 wrench attack. So if someone hits you or wants to hit you in your head and says, open your wallet and send me this amount, you actually physically cannot do it even if you wanted to, because you only have 1 device out of 3 devices, right? But it doesn't solve the problem of legacy planning. What happens to my kids? I want them to have access to it easily. They don't understand Bitcoin. They don't know how it works. I want them to easily be able to access my funds if something happens to me, even with 1 device. I don't want them to even have to figure out what multi-sig is. I want them to be able to access the money I have today with 1 device, but I don't want them to have access while I'm still alive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the challenge.
Exactly, because like from what I'm hearing when I listen to you, you're like, or at least that's what I also been told by many people, you know, there's multi-signature, as you said, which is like, it is better than maybe single signature in the sense of that it gives you, as you just described, you know, some more, protection, but also comes with a few downsides. But then you also have the collaborative custody, I think that you now alluded to, you know, where you kind of, share the keys of the multi-signature with other people, potentially even with a company. But now that when I'm listening to you, I think this is not the end of the story, right? Even these two things, which are buzzwords in the community, and a lot of people think like, yeah, it's already an upgrade, and this is the end of the story. It's not. You think there's even more to it, and you guys have been discovering this. So can you maybe take
Yes.
us down this route as well,
Well,
where you can improve on collaborative custody as well as multi-signature?
yeah. Enough drumming. Let's go to the solution now. So what's the solution? We have in Bitcoin had an upgrade, which is the Taproot upgrade. If you don't understand what it is, I mean, not you, but the audience, if you don't understand what it is, it doesn't actually matter. It just works. It's like magic, right? So this upgrade has enabled something called Miniscripts. So what is Miniscripts? Miniscripts is essentially a language where you can program into the Bitcoin blockchain a certain rule of custodying your Bitcoin, which is based on a time in the future that will basically enable a different type of custody when you do not access your wallet. Okay, let me explain what that means in essence. So let's say, Pascal, you have a cold card and you want to do a collaborative custody. Right now, if you do collaborative custody or if you do multi-sig on your own, that's it. You have 3 devices. You need to keep track of them, and that's fine. But if you lose 2 devices, then you have a problem. Or if for example you have a child, you have a son, and he actually doesn't even know what you did, he's incapable of accessing your funds, right? If he cannot find um, it- it- at least 2 of the devices, right? So what we can do now is we can set up a multi-sig, just like the traditional multi-sig we just talked about. But we can program into the Bitcoin blockchain, very important. You do not trust me. You do not trust 21st Capital. You actually encrypt this rule into the blockchain that if I do not access my wallet for more than, let's say, 8 months,
With the traditional keys that you said, right?
with the
With like,
traditional keys that I just put in place, which is a 2 out of 3. By the way, it could be also a single sig, but let's say it's a multi-sig. If I don't have access to this for more than 8 months, turn this multi-sig into a single sig.
Mhm.
And this device I will give to my son or whoever I want to be able to access the money, right? So what happens is you have all the protection of multi-sig throughout this period. And after 8 months, if you don't touch your vault, this is how the blockchain, actually the network, knows that you might have lost the keys or that you're actually not around anymore. God forbid. Okay. And after that period, it automatically activates a recovery backup that you preset when you set the vault.
Yeah, I see. Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
So the way it works technically, now I will go a little bit technical, but then you interrupt me if it's too technical. Okay. So if you understand Bitcoin, you know that Bitcoin has its own time chain, right? It has its own clock. So every block that you see on the network is around 10 minutes long, right?
Yes.
So the way you communicate to it is you say, if we reach X number of blocks from now, activate this. If I move the money during this time, or I have access to my vault during this time, move the 8 months to another 8 months. So we do the setup today, Pascal. After 3 months, you refresh your Bitcoin. You actually prove to the network that you're still around. You still have access to your vault. What it does is it just extends the clock. It just restarts the clock of 8 months from the beginning. And and it just goes into perpetual future as long as you refresh your Bitcoin. After a while, it just postpones this time lock. It's called time lock. This recovery for your child into the future. But if you don't access the money after 8 months, it will activate this recovery, and your child or whoever with this legacy key is able to access your money with one device.